The state of emergency now in effect in Trinidad and Tobago has not put the local energy sector on pause. The Attorney General said regulations for the SOE allow for the energy sector to continue in the category of essential services, which will now be under the supervision of the police and the Defence Force. This as state-owned fuel retailer MP is advising its customers to avoid touching the fuel dispensers as the country continues to face a COVID surge. Jewel Brown has the details in tonight's Energy Matters.
Energy Matters is brought to you by the National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago Limited. Energy Matters.
A state of emergency was announced by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley last Saturday and declared by President Paula May Weeks one day later as a result of a surge in COVID-19 infections. But even as Trinidad and Tobago is battling this and an ever-increasing COVID death toll, the local energy sector, as defined in the state of emergency regulations, will continue to keep fueling the economy as it has been since the COVID-19 pandemic arrived in Trinidad and Tobago in March of last year. Energy services, the petroleum industry, and the natural gas and propane industry are included in the list of essential businesses and services in the state of emergency regulations. During the Health Ministry's news conference on Monday, Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi said the state of emergency regulations set out the curfew parameters.
And the description in respect of energy services, for example, manufacturing services, example, all of those fall under the general supervision of not only the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, but the Trinidad and Tobago Defence Force.
A curfew is now in effect nightly from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. until the state of emergency is lifted. Curfew permits for those working in the energy sector and other essential business sectors and essential services are only to be authorized by Police Commissioner Guy Griffith, who said on Monday that flexibility was afforded to those who were not able to get their permits in time for the first night of the curfew.
There were many organizations in essential services, even the energy sector, they did not receive their passes at the time. Even when most were here, they didn't come and collect it. So police officers were briefed to be flexible.
He said such flexibility will not be afforded going forward. The Attorney General said the new regulations governing the operations of approved essential businesses and services are not limited to the curfew.
In the state of emergency regulations, there is a full description of the state of emergency in that who is permitted to be during non-curfew hours, that is daylight hours till 9 p.m. Essential businesses are to operate.
Under the regulations for the state of emergency, petroleum stations and their convenience marts are included in the list of essential services. Just days before the state of emergency took effect, NP announced that as part of its ongoing response to minimize the risk of exposure to COVID-19, it recently purchased and distributed an additional supply of disposable gloves and hand sanitizer to all service stations in Trinidad. NP said its office in Tobago has also purchased supplies of gloves and hand sanitizer and will soon make them available to service stations on the island. The company said several service stations offer full service arrangements across its network and, for example, its forecourt attendants are present so that customers do not have to interface directly with the pumps or dispensers. In addition, NP said it continues to share customer safety information and updates through various channels, including its website and social media platforms, and that safety messaging will soon be installed on the hoses and pumps as an added layer of precaution. NP is advising its customers that when fueling at its service stations, they make full use of the wash sinks and soap where appropriate, make full use of the disposable gloves where appropriate, and if no gloves are readily available at the service station and or if using the self-service option, sanitize or wash their hands after use of the fuel dispenser. Dexter Riley, the CEO of Unipet, said the privately owned fuel retailer has implemented COVID prevention protocols at its service stations in keeping with the lockdown regulations. Mr. Riley also told TV6 News that Unipet is seeking to encourage the motoring public and the public in general to be safe.
We practice the proper protocols and don't come out when you don't have to.
But as the public, especially the motoring public, heeds that advice in keeping with the stipulations of the present lockdown to stay home except only for essential reasons, this means less business at the pumps. Mr. Riley said while this is challenging for the fuel retail sector, innovations are resulting from it. Jewel Brown, TV6 News.